Hi guys and gals, Shane Stevenson, Director of Museum Collections Curator here at the Buffalo Naval Park, and I am with...
Brian Samansky, Curator of the Battleship New... Oh wait, no, that's not right. Tim Nesmith, Ship Superintendent and Education Outreach Coordinator for the USS Kidd.
Excellent. And we finally are together here on USS the Sullivans. We've got USS Kidd in Baton Rouge in her 45 configuration. Us, we're in about 56, 61 configuration. So what we are going to do is we are going to film a video talking about the differences while we have the Kidd here and Tim here from the Kidd. So we did a nice video about the water levels and things for both of our vessels back in January, I believe it was. We've done a lot of YouTubing back and forth, but we've never been here together, and hopefully I'll get down to the Kidd and we can do a comparison with your ship as well, with you, Tim. But so you're going to come along for the discussion, showing configurations, refits of differences between the Kidd and the Sullivans. Ready to roll?
Let's do it.
All right. Everyone, okay, so we seem to have found an area of interest that I'm going to let Tim talk about. We are on port midships right underneath what would be right now our twin 40 Beauforts. You know, at the end of her service you would have had the two twin 3-inch 50s there, and I'm going to turn it over to Tim and film him as he's describing this little weather deck here. So what have you seen, and what are some of the changes that you've noticed as we rounded the corner from the quarterdeck?
Well, it's much narrower here, and that's part of the build-out, I think, for your 3-inch 50s. Originally, as constructed, this curved platform here above you and coming back, yes, would have been the support platform for the 40 millimeters, the twins, in original build. And now on Kidd, after the strike by the kamikaze, as the air threat became greater during the war, they started doing restructuring, upgrading, and bumping up the anti-aircraft. So we have quad 40s above us on Kidd. But there's a little bit more room on deck. This extends much further back for your torpedoes and your 3-inch 50s. We have a little deck house, a little small deck house that sits right flush with the edge of the ship, comes inboard just a few steps, and it's probably about from where you're standing to about here. It's not very wide, but so it basically is a support structure for this, and it houses the rangefinder equipment for the quad 40s. And before that, you know, electronics for the motors and everything on the guns. And before quad 40s, when it was twin 40s, they would have had the ammo sharing part of that space for feeding the twin 40s.
So what we're saying ultimately is the deck house here was extended for the Sullivans, yes, for the 3-inch 50s.
That would be my
potentially
guess.
And so it narrows the deck right here, and then facilitates the need to remove what you were mentioning, the rangefinder for the 40s.
Right.
Fascinating. I'm going to have to confirm with photos from the Sullivans about, see what was here at the time. I can only assume in our World War II configuration we would have had that as well.
I would assume so, yeah.
Yeah, I would have assumed. Very cool. And now what we're going to do is we're going to head forward. Tim is very interested in heading down the hatch just forward of us, going down the ladder to the mess deck, the steam line, the chow line, looking at the steward space.
Yes.
Right, so that double ladder, not double ladder, but ladders going down. So we are going to check that out now, and we'll see you in a minute. So what we feel is, though, this is pretty fabulous stuff here. Tim is leaning on what the original, the original deck house, and take a look at how much ours is extended out. So what we're looking at down here would be potentially, Tim, this is your passageway.
This would be our passageway through what I described earlier. And when I'm moving equipment on Kidd through that, for lack of a better word, tunnel between the support structure from
Yes.
40s and the actual deck house, I actually have to straddle this little overlap plate here. One wheel would be on one side, one wheel is on the other. I have to jump it to go into the tunnel and then jump it coming out again.
Wow. And let's talk about the access to your radio, your secondary radio, which would have been, you have a, as you said, you have a passageway.
Right, so where your laundry
Yep, this is the laundry, and then
right
leading
here,
down to...
you follow the aft deck house another few feet back, and you've got the hatch for the midships passageway, which goes all the way across the ship, and you can access sick bay, emergency radio, the battery charging room,
Yes.
the midships damage control locker, and supply office from either side of the ship. And it looks like when they refit you guys and brought this bulkhead out, they just sealed it off on the port side, and you can't get in on the port side.
That's
Is that
right.
correct?
That is correct.
Yeah.
So we have our radio, and then we have the 3-inch 50 Ampledyne room. And yeah, at some point, and we'll go into the secondary radio, we have our battery locker, we have a gunnery office, sick bay, and then once we go into radio, you'll see it just stops. There's a little door that leads into the Ampledyne room, similar to that. I think it's a little more rounded, maybe more like a scuttle, you know, a vertical scuttle. Wow, this is really cool.
It's nice to compare them.
Yeah, it is. And you were saying, so the Cass & Young, which you just also visited,
Yes.
still has that original configuration.
Yes.
So their deck right here is as wide as yours.
Yes.
At the Kidd. Awesome. So we're about ready to get heading down the ladder that we talked about, but we have the breakwater. Why don't you want to take a look up there?
Yeah, and we don't even have this hatch here. We just have an open facing, no combing or anything, leading straight to our ladder going down, and it has, of course, a big hatch that drops down over it. We have an open breakwater. There's no
Yes.
combing. The difference for us with what they modified us with in 54 or so, after 1953s, at some point they came in and put in a dumbwaiter, a little small food elevator shaft, and moved the ladders, and we'll see when we go down below. Our ladder sticks out a little bit further probably, but yeah, right on the other side of this whaleboat davit you have a second shield, a second breakwater, and it's a full breakwater. You have to step up and over going through it, and a door that closes, and then the hatch for the dumbwaiter swings open, and the guys can stand here sheltered against any weather coming down the deck and slide the food trays in. And then it's basically just a big C, and you slide the tray in, it's facing this way, and then you push it down and you grab a rope, and it's a pulley system. You just pulley it on down and then bring the stuff back up that's empty. And that's how they move the food post-Korean War.
Does Cass & Young, did you notice if Cass & Young has?
Cass & Young does not have it. Theirs looks like yours.
Okay. Maybe we'll see some architecture inside that might let you know, the ship's storage would be right here for us.
Right.
They couldn't have had that with the dummy waiter, or is it just that tightly packed, do you think?
No, you have much more room without the dumbwaiter, because that would have been the steward's berthing. The segregated crew during World War II. They would have had their bunks in there. Obviously, Cass & Young and you guys, they repurposed that space after desegregation happened in 48, and you didn't need to separate anybody anymore. Right. Just like destroyers anywhere, you utilize every inch of space, and so they found other uses. Cass & Young's barbershop is on the next level right below us. Ours is in the fan room underneath Mount 45 on the 01 level, wedged in between gigantic fan motors and a bulkhead. So,
and ours is there too.
Yeah, and reutilized space.
Yeah, but Cass & Young's is down below.
Cass & Young's is down below.
This is going to be really exciting. Can't wait to see Tim's face as we get through this door and we're walking down the ladders, past this steward's berthing, ship store, all of that stuff. Let's go. So your Yeah, your hatch goes right here.
Yeah, the
Flush
coming
there.
for the hatch comes right here, and we actually have a hatch cover that folds down on top of it,
Yes.
since there's no door, watertight door here.
Right.
And that frees up the space
For
for
the dumbwaiter.
back here, which is where your dumbwaiter would be, and into this a little bit. And then this ductwork supply, actually, instead of going out and down alongside the bulkhead, goes up. So when you come for that ladder right behind you and come up on the 01 level, one of the first things you see is the motor in the open mouth for it, pulling air in.
Well, when we get up there, we'll see if there's any of the welding or any of the blanks up there. Maybe this ours might have curved as well and went it straight up through the 01 platform, is what you're saying.
Could be, but I bet that yours is like Cass and Young, because they never had this dumbwaiter adaptation. So this is probably the original setup.
Original.
And what we have is the modified for making room for the dumbwaiter.
Very good. Very good. All right, let's head down.
Want to leave the hatch open?
No.
No? Okay.
And this has been dogged. Okay. Oh man, this is gonna take a little.
Alright, I got a light on.
Alright, now.
Fire control.
Post office.
Post office. Yeah, see, this actually sits right over here where I'm standing and into this some. There's just enough room to walk between it,
Yes.
and then enough room to walk on the other side so that you can get to this door.
Yes, got it. Because the other hatch should be right about here.
Right, your room looks to be a little bit longer than ours,
Okay.
and the dumbwaiter starts literally right here. There's barely enough room to put your feet down at the end of the ladder. And of course this is further back, so the dumbwaiter is actually coming out
Okay.
here a little bit.
Yes, because that hole, as we just talked about,
Right.
it's
That's shifted forward.
aft. Yeah.
Or shifted aft, yes.
Aft, a foot or so.
Right, so that ladder would be back here, coming down, and then the dumbwaiter would probably start right about here, and then go over here, and there's just enough room to where the fire control equipment feeding all this in here, you have a little room to reach in around it, between it and the dumbwaiter.
Now, do you have this equipment?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So we
Perhaps
may have.
not this, we've got this. I don't think we've got this on the outside, but we've got fire control equipment in here. Looks like a little bit different setup, but very similar.
Yeah, what's it say up top there?
Aircraft air conditioning.
Okay, all right. So for all of us, this was the stewards when it was segregated.
Right,
Then desegregation happens. Then the Cass and Young, the Sullivans, and the Kidd all convert to fire equipment.
correct.
And then, so this is probably across our three vessels. This
Yes.
is the same.
Yes,
But what you're saying down here is your hatch to go down is here.
right. Yours and Cass and Young's are stacked,
It's the line, yeah, the line.
and this moves over for us, and there's just enough room to walk from the ladder between the ladder
Yes.
and the next hatch.
Yeah.
Circle around and go down the next hatch.
And then you
and
walk.
a little room to walk by the bulkhead to get up to the
So what
door.
do you have right here?
Nothing. It's taken up by the hatch. It's just open space.
That's right, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Just open space.
And this is what we want to put it back to. Ultimately, when we go to dry dock, we want to put steward's berthing back. And when it was steward's berthing, there was no wall here, no equipment. This whole area was wide open, and you had bunks, 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 and another set of bunks, and then lockers in between.
So this, oh, I was just thinking that would have just been the steward's compartment,
No.
but you're saying all of it.
All of this space. That's why the ladders were stacked, so you had room enough for them
Right,
to
sure.
have their living space.
So what was that now, Tim?
Your handling room is the exact reverse of ours as far as entry points. Our entry point is through the fan room on the other side of the port bulkhead there. And in this side, we have just the fan motors and then a doorway right here that actually has a door that folds back this way and leads into our forward damage control locker. And at some point, all three ships, Cass and Young, Sullivans, and Kidd, had a separate entry into damage control that got sealed up. So Kidd's and Sullivan's looks the same on the outside. Cass and Young's, if I remember correctly, is there.
That's the one that opens
instead of where you're standing.
Where does their lead into the 5-inch handling? Is it on starboard?
I didn't ask to open it up.
All right.
I didn't think that it would be different. But you opened it up after you mentioned that this was the access way. I'm like, no, it's on the port side. But no, you know your ship better than I know your ship.
So again, here's the outline of the door that Tim was just mentioning into damage control. Cass and Young has the 2 doors here, like we do, or at least one blanked over. All right, so we have to talk to Buzz.
Yeah.
And on the 30th for our live YouTube, we'll bring that up.
Yeah. And interior-wise, yours is exactly the same as ours. The dredger hoist is over on the port side forward bulkhead, and then just racks on the perimeter.
So and your entrance, where would be your entrance? Just straight across?
Right behind that angled beam right there. Yeah, and just like our 5 inches, they're notorious for bleeding hydraulic fluid, even if you haven't used them for years and years and years. Interesting.
Oh. So we're standing in the officer's wardroom. You know, we've done updates here at the Buffalo Naval Park, but Tim's here, and we were just talking about all of those little spaces, that bimetallic welding. So tell me, when you ripped up, you had tiling at one point?
We had tiling, the infamous green tile. We tested ours. There was no issues with the tile or with the concrete. The way we discovered that there was a problem was rainwater coming down the outer deck off of the bow and going back to the breakwater and shunting off the ship. Some of it was coming down, we were getting rainfall in the officers' staterooms underneath the wardroom. And so it was coming down from the overhead. We got in here and looked, started, cracking some of the tiles right next to it just to fold it back and see. And sure enough, the cement leveler that the Navy had poured, because the hull at this point is curved, the Navy poured cement leveler across the wardroom just to level it out so that tile would fit down perfectly flat. And as we all know, concrete, cement, that chemical reaction that takes place when you mix it all together, it never stops, even after it gets hard. Its entire lifespan, it's exuding moisture a little bit at a time. And when you put it against steel, that concrete on the bottom is still exuding that moisture. The moisture has no place to go, and it eats away the metal. So we had on Kidd eaten through the bulkhead to the exterior. Like
you're eating through here,
right?
And then down.
And then downward.
Now, were those holes on the outside? Were the down holes on the outside, or were they in here?
They were in here.
Okay.
Yeah. Otherwise, we would have spotted it a lot sooner.
So, this is concrete right here.
This looks like concrete.
Yeah, we got to get rid of that, right?
I would assume so. Otherwise, you're going to have problems later. You can see here where it's already affecting the support.
Yeah.
And what's scary is any ship that served in the 50s and the 60s had this done. This is Rich Angelini at the Kennedy is tackling this issue right now, and they are going gangbusters on it and doing a lot of hard work, a lot of ugly work, but in the long run, necessary work to save the ship. And so they're getting a lot of it out right now.
And you were saying also that then you had like
perforation going into what is our captain's in-port cabin,
Yep.
and also going down. And then on the other side, going into the wardroom pantry and going down. And we were going down on the port bulkhead, but we didn't puncture through. It didn't go laterally, it just went down.
Yes.
And then even on the forward bulkhead that went into the fan rooms and into the
5-inch handling.
5-inch handling room, we had perforations there and
So
down.
you're getting that water flowing vertically and horizontally.
Right, but the only places we had water coming through were from the exterior on the starboard side.
Okay.
So we were sealed up on the front side of it, unfortunately, otherwise we would have had a huge problem. Okay. All right,
So
so we got this. We got this. We've got a big sink, not a double basin. It's just one long basin. Hey, there's Kidd. We don't have shelves. Our ovens are flush up against here. We got this is the fryer.
Yep, the fryer.
So we got the little kind of table for the mixer. We don't have a full mixer like that. Ours sits up here, and it actually looks like the one that you have on Croker. It's that size.
Oh yeah, that size. All right.
Yeah.
That's almost like a personal size almost. That's not very large.
I don't know. That looks more like one that I had somebody offer to us from Natchez, and it was in a restaurant. They had bought it off, and they said that came off of a battleship in 19 whatever. I bought it off the Navy. I'm like, oh, okay. So I put them in touch with one of the battleships. I forget who it was that needed a mixer.
Okay, well now that raises the question of, is this original to the ship then?
I don't know.
It looks like it's welded or
It's
mounted.
that way, but this just sits up on top of it, right? It's got bolts. Yeah, so they tack welded and then bolted. I don't know. And the problem with Kidd is I don't have a lot of wartime photos to show how it was configured. So
Yeah, on the interior here, yeah, we didn't.
when we chiseled all this stuff out
Yes.
to get down to bare metal, because it rotted through into the forward engine room right there.
Mm-hmm.
I had a section about this wide. Just long, about that wide, and about that long, that ate through. Boy Scout troop, Eagle Scout project.
Very nice.
The only things they weren't able to get out was under the stoves, but
Yeah.
the more we went into it, it was dry, and so we left it alone. Our stoves are in the same place, fryer, but yeah, there's a little bench basically between the ovens over here and here, and that's where the mixer sits.
Again, this addition. So that's a radar room.
Is that, wait, okay, so gunnery in there is not the same as here? Oh wait, never mind, it's locked down. Mind if I open it up?
No, if you can get it.
Yeah. Here with the car keys. Okay, it runs the entire length. Okay. So this is what would have been there. Except instead of a door like this, it would have been a door like this.
So
But
that's what you're saying is
that's
that-
actually longer than ours.
Yeah.
But then you added, you've got more than just a 40 millimeter base. You got the 3-inch
Yeah.
50s.
So this is the equipment that we were talking about earlier in the video. That's along the scuppers along on port though.
Something similar.
Similar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Fire control basically.
Yeah, fire
for
control.
for that gun mill. Okay. We don't have anything in ours. One of ours is just a gutted space. They turned it into offices in the Cold War era after they got rid of the 40s because there's no guns there, so they don't need the fire control. They turned it into offices. One side we left filled with junk and just rusted stuff, that detritus that had built up in the reserve fleet, just tossed in. It's broke, toss it in there. And so that's our unrestored compartment to show what the ship looked like when we got her in '82. The other one we turned into our paint locker.
Oh, all right.
Because it was gutted as
Yeah,
well.
it's gutted.
So we put up shelving and everything and put in a paint shaker and
Nice.
yeah. So.
I'm just astounded at the size that you are describing.
Yeah, see where that first box on the wall there
Yes,
is?
yes.
That's about the length of ours
Okay.
total. So it's not that big. So yeah, y'all's has definitely been expanded and then moved inboard.
Yeah.
So